Hey, it's the Red Rican, and I'm going to share this article. It's a great article. A friend of mine sent it to me. Shout out Jen for sending this to me because um, I think it's a great point. The guy made great points. I was trying to make this point to a friend of mine a couple days ago, but here's the problem: if you can't get off, if you can't get out of your ideological bubble, if you can't just step out of your comfort zone to realize there's things where left and right agree, and these are issues where if we agree on, then we could work together to fix. But um if you keep with this whole, like I said in my last video about whole white supremacy, if you keep thinking, anybody that disagrees with you is a white supremacist, is racist, misogynistic, blah 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 blah, whatever, nothing's going to get done. Okay, you need to stop with that mentality, because if not, then you cannot bridge the gap between the two ideologies. Okay, there's stuff that we could work on together. This was a moment where the right woke up and saw the injustices that go on in the criminal justice system, the stuff that this prosecutor did in the Rittenhouse case. And that's where um, I want to show what I said to my friend. I said, because he accused me of not thinking for myself. And I told, because I was talking about how the MSNB straight up lied. Okay. Their whole white supremacy narrative that they're doing for their low ratings is sick. But anyways, I pulled a look. You want thinking for yourself instead of thinking tribally. This should be used for reform. Um, the shady stuff the prosecutor was doing is done all the time. Instead of staying with my side, I should have put that in quotation marks, cross ideology, and use this as a teaching moment on why we need criminal justice reform. Prosecutors shouldn't be able to withhold witnesses nor not give proper evidence. There are plenty of things that can link the left and the right out of this if both sides would take their heads out of their collective asses. I just added collective there. And that's exactly how I feel. And that's how, uh, um, sorry, I'm trying to share the article. There it goes. And here's the name of the article. Here's the title of the article. It's an opinion piece, but it's a great piece. The guy put, "I'm a black ex-felon, and I'm glad Kyle Rittenhouse is free." And he goes, what does he say here? He goes, he believes we need criminal. Kyle said, I believe there needs to be change. He told Tucker Carlson, I believe there's a lot of prosecutorial misconduct, not just in my case, but in other cases. It's just amazing to see how much a prosecutor can take advantage of someone. And the person goes, he's right. As a black man who spent 2.5 years in federal prison, I've personally experienced the injustice in our criminal justice system. But as the political divide over Kyle Rittenhouse demonstrates, we seem less intent on effectively addressing our problems and more concerned with creating narratives that reinforce our preconceived views. You could see this in the response to the police shooting that sparked the protest that led to Rittenhouse trial, the shooting of Jacob Blake. After watching the full video of the police shooting, I was left with more questions than answers about how his story was being portrayed. Jacob Blake was harassing his girlfriend, a black woman who had previously accused him of sexually assaulting her. She called the police, and when they arrived, Blake physically fought with them. Then he went to his car and reached for a knife before being shot. And that's the whole thing that started the riot. Okay, was media malfeasance there, because instead of showing the whole video, they showed the video where he was walking around to his car and then got shot. They didn't show when he was fighting with the police. And most of these people who see Jacob Blake as a victim did not see the whole video. Continue reading. Here we go. The left saw Jacob Blake as the victim of a racist police force hunting black men. The right saw a guiltless officer unworthy of investigation. Both stories lack the complexity of the reality. Watching the Rittenhouse trial, I observed the same pattern. Everyone saw injustice, but the two conflicting narratives also lacked nuance. The right saw a hero, which I personally never said that. I just said he wasn't a villain. Uh, dragged through an unjust court system, a victim of media demonization. The left saw a white supremacist who drove across state lines, quotation marks, to kill peaceful protesters demanding dignity for Black Americans. The assumption of both sides were proven false in the courtroom. Rittenhouse clearly made poor decisions, but that doesn't make him a criminal. Criminals are convicted in a court of law by a jury and on available evidence. That is justice. And it goes here, from the facts presented at trial, including video evidence and the eyewitness testimony of the man he shot, it seems clear that Rittenhouse acted in self-defense as defined by the law and received a fair trial. One shouldn't be labeled right wing for affirming the legitimacy of the court's decision. An innocent man walking free after his trial is something that we should all celebrate. It is our criminal justice system working as it should. And I, a person who has suffered personally from racism in the justice system, am cheering it loudest of all. I'm cheering not despite the fact that many Black people in this country do not get fair trials. It's because of that. I want them to experience the same justice system that acquitted Kyle. And now we have a standard to demand, one that is very public. The argument that Rittenhouse acquittal is unjust because many Black people do not receive fair trials is saying that the only way to help the Black community is to hurt the white community. And that's a fallacy. And that's why I fight against this stuff, because of exactly what he said right there is the fallacy of, in order to help Blacks and Latinos, you have to hurt the white community. And all that's going to do is create real white supremacists. Or I shouldn't say white supremacists. You're going to create white identitarians. Okay? Not because they think the white race is superior. You're just going to have people who are going to be like, oh, well, you know what? I don't like white supremacy, but I'm white, and you're going to force them into that camp. Because not everybody is, wants to hate themselves for their skin color. Now, he goes, I know what it's like to be mistreated as a young Black man, but putting Kyle Rittenhouse in prison would not solve the problems of Black America, or in my case, Latinos. He goes, I don't need Rittenhouse to be mistreated as well. I used to work together to fight the real injustices of our society. There are plenty of injustices happening in the criminal justice system. There are solitary confinement cells built for one man, but housing 3 inmates. There are halfway houses that don't provide adequate food to ex-cons. There's a lack of adequate educational or vocational training to prepare men to work for a living after their release. It goes here, but if we divide America and tear apart liberal democracy, then we all lose. Instead, we should unite over a simple message. Rittenhouse got justice. Let's make sure Black men do too. On point this article is. On point. These people who were screaming, oh, if he was a Black man, then let's push for reform. We saw what you're here supporting the prosecutor. If you're on the left and you don't want to open your eyes, you're supporting prosecutorial misconduct, because that's what this guy did. And I'm mad that the judge, because he wanted to show fairness, since they were saying that he was impartial, these attorneys, these prosecutors should have been reprimanded legally for what they did. And that's how you clean up the system. Okay, it starts with you want to talk about There's your word. You like to use accountability. That's where the accountability needs to be. With the prosecutors, with bad cops, that's the accountability we need. You know, if you're a cop, you know, don't use the blue wall of silence. We need bad cops off the beat, off the street, period. Okay. I remember when I was 8 years old, a cop called me a spick. They just moved him to a different precinct. No, I was an 8-year-old boy. He called a spick. There's no way that guy should be a cop. You don't have the mentality if you're calling an 8-year-old a spick. Just because I was being called a white boy by my darker Latino friends, and I was like, no, I'm Puerto Rican, leave me alone. And that he didn't like that I didn't want to be white. It's like, Puerto Rican, I'm proud of being Puerto Rican. But he got offended by that and he called me a spick. So I know what it's like to be offended by cops. Oh, when I had my kid in my kid in the back seat, and a cop went down the wrong street, I gave him a dirty look for almost hitting me, and he pulled me over. And I let him have it because you're not going to give me a ticket for me giving you a dirty look when you were in the wrong. Didn't even have his siren on, so how was I supposed to know he was going down the wrong street? But these are things. This is the system, and those type of cops need to be off the street. Those type of cops have no. There's no reason they should be wearing a badge. Because I gave you a dirty look because you hit me. You almost hit me with your car. That you pulled me over. That's a power trip. You should not be able to do that. He should have been reprimanded, and he wasn't. So those are places where left and right we could agree. You know, we may not agree on everything, but let's get to, instead of trying to force feed stuff and stuff that we agree, like, you put, let's say we agree on criminal reform, but we don't want to do Build Back Better. We don't agree with it. So forget, you know what? We can't get Build Back Better done. Stop trying to be sneaky with it. And let's just get criminal justice reform. That's it. Get that, instead of trying to undo the gridlock, get done what can get done. Instead of focusing on trying to throw in things in there like poison pills into these bills that you damn well know the other side aren't going to agree to, concentrate on doing a real bill that both parties can agree on, that you can have real bipartisanship, not just one or two, let's say one or two people of the opposite party, and then you call it bipartisan, like the January 6th commission. They call it bipartisan when the couple of Democrats they have there, they're going to be voted out next election. So by the time this commission's over, they're going to be out of office. So just that's what we need. We need left and right, instead of hunkering down in your ideology, in your tribal bubble. Fix what can be fixed, what people agree on. And people saw the stuff that went on in the Rittenhouse trial. So instead of sticking to your left-wing leftist talking point of white supremacy, stop with the nonsense. Let's fix it. Let's fix it. We see the problem. We see one of the problems. The whole thing that what the prosecutors did with withholding witnesses names, withholding, giving faulty video files, all that stuff. That stuff should be, you know what? Better that 10 guilty people go free than one innocent person be sent to jail. So if the prosecutors are going to do stuff like that, then the judges need to hold these prosecutors accountable by doing more um, judge judgments by with prejudice. I mean, what's the mistrial with prejudice, to have these keep these prosecutors in check. Because if you don't do like these mistrials with prejudice, or sanction these attorneys, these prosecutors, then they're going to keep doing it all around the country. So we need to, that's how we hold accountability in the judicial system, is by sanctioning these prosecutors and making sure that they're not rewarded with their bad behavior in the courts, where they're just looking for instead of looking for justice, they're looking for conviction. Because a conviction is not justice if the person's innocent. Sending an innocent person to jail knowingly that that person's innocent is wrong and evil. Black, white, brown, it doesn't matter. An innocent person in jail is injustice. Period. I'm the Right Rican, and it's my channel. You can follow me here on YouTube, Rumble. You can interact with me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, Clout Hub, all those things. So with that being said, have a good day.